What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Talks, your movie informational podcast that you know and love. And because
It's
we are,
something.
yeah, we bring the professionalism, and that's what
Yep.
people really love about it. How our in-depth, really articulate criticism of films. One day we'll get paid for it. Maybe, who knows? One
Yeah,
day
sure.
we might even get a sponsor. You don't know. But without
Can we
further
please agree right now to refuse
ado.
any sponsorship from Raid Shadow Legends?
Right. Oh, really? Surely they wouldn't do a movie podcast. They might. Who knows?
They do everything now.
Uh,
Any small podcaster, so they don't have to pay much.
Look, right now, I want to. You guys take this for face value, but I would happily take $500 from Raid Shadow Legends.
No,
I
don't don't
I approach
bring
me.
yourself to that level.
Approach me. Don't approach Lawson.
I'm adding my name to this. The whole time that you're doing the plug, I'm gonna be going, no, 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 no.
It
Know
makes
real
it
well.
makes it funnier. But we are up to episode 11, legs 11, and I have my lovely co-host here, the
Mm-hmm.
grumpy, the man, the grumpiness, the myth, the
The grump.
the
Yeah,
grumps,
I'll take it. That's me.
Lawson.
Lawson, hello everybody. Get
I feel like
excited.
you need a catchphrase, a catch. Ooh,
A
maybe a
catchphrase. I've
catchphrase.
noticed I say please continue a lot.
No, that's not grumpy enough. I want like two, at least two catchphrases that we can put on a t-shirt with your face. Like when people actually want to buy the merch
Just
of,
just my face with Grumpy Lawson. That's all you
no,
need.
I want a catchphrase. Like,
Or like art house lover or something on
yeah.
it.
Well, you can
Some
just have
bullshit.
like a really grumpy face saying, please continue. And all in
Yeah,
capitals, like you're yelling.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll design something.
All right. I feel like that's a good one. So movie talks merch is coming, just like Ryman TV merch is coming. And there's a whole lot coming as well.
Hmm.
But we are back into everyone's favorite game. You need to do the best impression of a game show tune that you can. Ready, set, go. You got no time. No, that was too
Go.
good. That
That's your
sucked.
cue.
I know, but I was disappointed that it was good.
Oh, well, boop, 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 boop.
Movie
Go.
news. All right. Movie news is Kelly Marcel to direct Venom 3.
Oh, I don't give a shit. I haven't seen. I don't want to see any of it. I saw enough segments of the first to be enough.
You
This
didn't like
scene.
it.
That's it.
All
No, it's
right.
a joke, man.
I
I'm
quite
so
like the
bored of
Venom.
all that shit.
I thought Tom Hardy did really well. Also, do you know Tom Hardy has been going into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments and like mopping the floor with people? Like,
I saw him fight
yeah,
someone.
right?
Yeah,
This
like
he's
wrecked him too, and everyone's like, "I'm okay with you getting dropped by Tom Hardy. Like that's
yeah,
cool."
like it's
Yeah.
impressive. Like he's definitely walks what he talks, I guess. So
Mm.
like that's
No, I
kind of
like him.
cool. He's a cool dude. Um, Also, have you seen the big news for the Witcher series? So Netflix, The Witcher series.
I did.
Henry Cavill is no longer
Hmm.
going to be the Witcher, and Liam Hemsworth is going to be the new
Yeah.
Witcher.
I don't
Thoughts?
know. It doesn't really. Look, I haven't. I wanted to play at least Witcher 3 before I watched the series, and I just never got there. And now that I know the remaster's coming, I'm just gonna wait for the remaster and then play 3 and then watch the series. So I don't have no exposure to The Witcher. I have
Okay.
um no like passionate history with them to care enough about this. But I imagine some people wouldn't be very happy about it.
Yeah, so I watched the first season and it really annoyed me how they were telling like not in a chronological order. It was like all
Yeah, I've
pieced
heard
together
that.
with all the different. It was really annoying. But I think he did a really good job in terms of being the gruff sort of I
Mm.
guess Witcher, where I don't think Liam
Hmm.
Hemsworth has that gruffness that you're gonna look for.
No, no,
So
I don't see it either.
I'm not sure how that's gonna go across. Like I think he's a reasonable actor. I don't got anything against him. I just don't think he's the gruff sort of.
Yeah,
Would
he's
you?
pretty. Like Henry's handsome, but Liam's pretty. And I think a pretty Witcher is different to a handsome Witcher as well.
Yeah, and like I guess The Witcher's always portrayed as like a gruff sort of
Yeah,
grunts. He almost
yeah,
pretty much
exactly.
grunts through like the games.
It's
Where
why like Orlando Bloom in Pirates of the Caribbean, I always felt like he was, even though he was capable, I always felt like he was, softer. I hate that word, but you know what I mean. Like he was softer than the rest of the characters, and just because he's such a beautiful boy, like he doesn't look like a fighter, or at least adept at it.
yeah, so I don't know. I guess time will
Mm-hmm.
tell. We'll see how that's going to go.
Sure.
And what do we got? We got there's a new sci-fi thriller called Tim, and it's our
Okay.
phones and other devices become increasingly complicated. So it's more about AI, which I guess you
Okay.
haven't. Yeah, have you seen
Yeah.
anything of that?
No, I've heard
No.
nothing about it.
Also, Netflix has got a new horror series called 1899, and there's a new trailer showing passengers boarding a mysterious ship.
Cool.
Yep.
I don't know anything about that either. No.
Wait.
Back on the Tim show, I think some of that stuff, if it's handled with care, like I love Black Mirror, and I'll probably talk more about that later when I get to Guillermo's bloody cabinet. Um, but I think Black Mirror handled that stuff really, really well. But I just worry that if as soon as you introduce things and like the main plot of the story is phones, it just feels really, I don't know, it almost feels like clutching, disconnected.
Look, yeah. Is it? I'm sure they'll create a movie. I'm sure there's probably already is one of a iPhone that kills people. I mean, there's a wheel that kills people that literally just bounces down the road like killing people. I can't remember what that's called. Do you remember that film?
Yeah, it's
What was that?
oh
That
shit,
was
rubber,
yeah, rubber.
rubber.
Yeah,
No, what
no,
it's called?
maybe wheel that
Hmm,
kills people movie. That's what we go Google for. It is called Rubber, 2010.
rubber. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep, yep.
that's
Yeah,
such a
no, that was
bizarre
cool though.
movie.
That was handled. That was handled really well.
Yeah, I know, but it's
That,
the
yeah.
whole premise is odd. Imagine walking into a studio and pitching that,
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, guys, stay with me here. There's a tire
Yeah.
and it's rolling down the road and it's killing people. Like, I can't
Yeah. There's a lot
imagine.
more to it than that. Like the
I
tie is
know,
sort of symbolic and it's
but
also homages all the way through it.
yeah, but
But I
like
see what you mean. Yeah.
overall,
Dumb premise.
yeah, you'd be like,
But that's the
what
thing.
is
Dumb
going
premise can
on
be
here?
handled well and done by good people and it'll still be good. So we'll
Ah,
see. This phone
all right, I
idea. I
guess
have
we'll
no idea.
see.
Who'd you say was in charge of it or directing it?
Which one?
The Tim, did you say?
I didn't even go
Oh,
into the article.
okay. Don't matter then.
um, no, it's with Amanda, Karen, Nathan Parker, and Tom Bell in the cast. That's
I
it.
looked up Tim, and there's a movie from 1979 with fucking Mel Gibson.
Yeah, it's capital. It's all capitals with a dot point in between. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I don't have to give a
Yeah.
shit. Move
No,
on.
no, let's go. All right. There you go. That is your weekly movie news, and I'm glad you're
Woo.
really, really excited
Yep.
because we are moving on to a film called Slayers, which
Yep.
IMDb is not overly friendly with. I picked this movie deliberately because it sounded absolutely bonkers in terms of I
Yep.
wanted them to lean into the dumb, it's so bad that it's
Yep.
good.
Yep.
And I feel like they went a little bit too try hardy in terms of trying to be funny. But I'll give you the
Yeah. Oh my
plot.
god.
Here's the
Well
plot.
put.
A group of superstar influencers are drawn to a reclusive billionaire's mansion only to find themselves trapped in a lair of an evil vampire. The only way
Mm-hmm.
out is to be saved by a famous online gamer and an old school vampire hunter. So you're reading
Yeah,
this,
boy.
right? Well, you're
Yeah.
listening to my absolutely fantastic reading passage of the blurb.
Good
And
reading.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I've been trying a lot. But it sounds like it would be so bad that it's good. Like I feel like it was almost to that point of Jurassic, what was it, Domination?
Yeah.
Like into how they lent into the absolutely cheesiness that is
Yeah.
like their style, where reading that you've gone, all right, this is going to be self-aware. They're going to lean into all the tropes and they're going to just have fun with whatever they got. But
Mm-hmm.
the entire time everyone felt like they were trying really, really hard in their acting, but they were
Oh
shit.
yes. Oh yes.
Like they were really bad. They had this weird overlay of a game this entire time where it kept
Yeah,
score of.
fuck me. I hated that.
So, like, this is before we've gone into any of the story. This is just
Mm-hmm.
they've got this overlay because they have influences and they have a gamer. They have humans and vampires keeping
Like a
scores.
scoreboard comes up.
So it's pretty much narrated by our main character. What's his name? Thomas Jane or Elliot Jones. I can't remember which one his character is.
Oh, he's
Uh,
Elliot. The character's name is Elliot
yeah.
Jones.
So
Yeah,
so Elliot
the
is
vampire hunter.
is the vampire hunter, and
He's a
you
slayer.
he's he's narrating his way through it, and it's really cheesy at the start. Where I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, we're gonna have a fun time at the start.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes, I was like, yes, this is gonna be kind of dumb fun. But
Not
as
even 5 minutes. First two
nah,
minutes, I was like, dumb fun, good.
yeah, and then it progressed on, and we've got this complicated backstory of his wife. Like his wife was at a party and then was with her friend, and she went to this guy's
Yeah.
hotel room, which was never fully explained. But all of a sudden, he turns out to be, surprise, surprise, a
Vampire.
vampire,
Mm-hmm.
and she's calling him saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." And then he's running in
Mm-hmm.
there, and all of a sudden knows exactly where she is, and bursts in there, and then that's how he became a vampire hunter. Like there
I
wasn't.
think it was his daughter.
It was his daughter. I thought it was his wife.
I thought it was his daughter because
No,
I thought that's what he said was,
he always
look, if
says.
I'm honest, I fell asleep at moments. And I also, like, I wrote a half a page of notes in the first 8 minutes.
No, it was his wife because he was talking
Was
about
it?
how
Okay.
that's why he wanted revenge so much because his wife.
I stopped caring.
Yeah, well, this was early on.
It didn't take long
So,
for me to stop
no,
caring.
so
I
that
turned it off after 17 minutes and then had to like grind myself through it later.
good.
Dude,
I wanted you to get mad at it. Like I
fuck,
was
it
watching it, and I
sucked.
was like, "Yes, Lawson's gonna get mad at this one." And I remember
Man,
you messaged me going, "Why'd you make me watch this?"
yes.
Yeah,
I want
because
to save everything else I want to save for the podcast, but I'm mad that you made me watch
yeah,
this.
so we make sure that we don't actually tell each other anything about the
Mm-hmm.
movies beforehand, so you get the absolutely raw
Yeah, just
reactions.
going in blind. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lawson writes notes. I run off my cranium, so sometimes mine's a
Yeah.
bit more sporadic, and Lawson's a bit more, I guess, methodical, art housey.
If I don't make notes, I forget what I want to say.
Oh, he didn't even bite at the art house. Look at
No,
that.
because
You're
I don't
maturing.
need to bite at you anymore.
Yeah,
You
you
know what?
do.
It's taken me 10 episodes to realize it's not fucking worth
Yeah,
it.
it is.
Your friends that you what 10 years and it's taken me this long to
Yeah,
longer.
yeah,
Wait, yeah, fuck
yeah. So,
about
so after this random backstory that never really goes anywhere, that's like they've given him motive about why he became a Slayer, but there
that.
was
Yep.
these like flashbacks of him kind of like smoking and just giving these like random dialogues that weren't needed or progress the story. But then the vampires have invited this group of influencers, which reminded me a little bit of was it Margot, in terms of
Yes.
how they
I
collected
thought
all
the
the
same sort of
people.
premise. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've collected all the influences and the vampires. Like it was pretty easy exactly what like was going to happen, and you knew
Mm-hmm.
exactly who was going to survive because they pointed out they had the game overlay, and
Mm-hmm.
then the point where they split them off, and old mates narrating over it's like classic vampire tactic to separate them, and like
Oh my god.
one
The
one
voiceovers.
they sucked in there. Like it was
I'm letting you go because I have a lot to say and I'm just gonna fucking launch. So just keep going.
so this is like if they did this in a cheesy way, like if they were dropping
Yes.
one-liners, I would have enjoyed
Yes.
this. But the
If it was
narration,
satire.
yeah, the narration,
Mm-hmm.
the acting, they were trying really hard. There's a point
Yep.
where
Everyone trying too hard.
they explain the premise of how vampires disappear every 100 years, and it's so dumb. Like
They
everything.
explain so much random shit. The majority of this movie is fucking exposition. People explaining backstory without doing anything. This in the entire story, the characters had nothing to do. There was no MacGuffin. There was no drive. It was just my brother is captured, and I have to go help him. And they just fuck around and explain things to each other and talk to each other and pad it out to. I mean, again, at least it's short. It's not even an hour and a half. It's 88 minutes. I think like 8 minutes of that is credits. But my God, it was just either we were being bombarded with the most insane editing I've ever seen in my life. There was just all these. I would say to people, I recommend you watch this just because I can't explain how fucking insane the editing is. It would be even just a scene between two characters having a conversation, like a heartfelt conversation. They had shot changes every like second and a half. It was edited like a TikTok video, and it was fucking nuts. It had these like overlays coming in, and it kept going back to because these guys are all famous and they're part of some social media circle where they had all had like a manager and stuff. And it kept going back to like their fan page on YouTube, which were three of the most like they must have been the director's kids or some shit. Three of the worst, little, most uncharismatic piece of shit kids thrown in front of a camera with a green screen. It was really gross. And then just being bombarded with more information and overlays and the scene where he's explaining his backstory and we get this like moody, almost LA noir sort of look to the like, and it goes full like Sin City and like, cool, it's a parody. But then it goes and it goes and it goes, and you can tell they're actually being fucking serious. They think they're being super cool and edgy, and the whole movie was trash.
How's the
Different
music?
editor, might have been different.
No.
The music was so fucking loud.
Also, the stock, like the stock beat in, is like they've
Yes.
gone, we've run out of budget here. Let's use
Yes.
this. It wasn't even good context in terms of like
Nope.
building the music. It was like this, duh, 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 which didn't suit anything. Like they didn't have a build in, they didn't have any constant like gain on
Super
anything.
bassy.
It
This is
was
really deep music playing at the back of just like a conversation.
and then it would sometimes trigger like an action scene, and the action scenes were like real weird. They literally would like stop and they would go like there'd be one person like swinging, and then they would
Yes.
cut the action, and then
Yes.
you could see the pause, and they were like, "Yep, go," and then you could
Yes.
see him go. It was like, did my
It was
internet just
edited
freak out or
so
what?
shit. I have students, and this isn't to rag on my students, but I have 17-year-old students, 16-year-old students who could edit this movie together better.
Yeah, even act it better.
Even just the basic shit like cutting on a fucking action. It's so terribly put together. And they went like they obviously spent hours and time and weeks and whatever on those over the top, insane, almost like I said, TikTok editing kind of montages. But they were every few minutes for like a minute at a time. And they didn't cut the rest of the film together at all properly. Like you just said, you could see moments of paused action, a couple of frames of you could see the actors standing still before they walk. It's fucking amateur.
Although, how good was the advert? So after you've learnt that you can reverse it, no. Anyway, also I'll start with the writing. The writing.
Don't try explaining the fucking story
the
because they took
writing.
an hour and a half to explain it.
No, but the writing of them becoming vampires is that they had to transfuse the soul, and the soul could only go across to a person. This is a vampire soul. They had to put the blood of the body that they currently have, transfuse it into the person so that the soul can then bind to it, and that's why vampires go missing every 100 years. But
it was insane.
When
just
they
keep it simple.
After this absolutely bonkers and really poor sort of Slayer going at it, like they were going,
yep.
all right, we're going in there, and she's like, I'm gonna live stream this. she's got the crossbow and she's live streaming this.
She's got like a hair tie tied around it,
and she's live streaming the action. It was so
and
bad.
Everyone's watching on Twitch and like, oh yeah, look at her fucking hunting down vampires. Although it looks like shit because it's pointed at the ground.
I did laugh when she was like, what do you think I am? I'm a pro gamer, I can do this. And then she just gets her ass handed to her and she's like, a little bit of help. I did laugh at that. Like, That's what I was expecting, but it just they didn't get anything in there. But then they had this whole advert in. They're like, "This is how you do a quick reversal of a vampire," and they do.
Yes,
It's like a minute and a half of them doing an
it's
advert
so weird.
of like how to do a reverse blood transfusion. It was so weird. They
It was
had
really
prices
strange.
coming up, and they were
Yeah,
zooming in on products, and then at the
that's
end they
the
were
thing. They
like,
just kept like they wanted to just put overlays. Every scene couldn't just be people on a screen. They had to have an overlay. Like you said, putting the prices of furniture up and shit. Like they did that in Scott Pilgrim, but it's done made sense. You see the stuff come up and it shows you which stuff he owns and which stuff his housemate owns. And it makes sense of the scene to explain our characters, but don't just throw in overlays for the sake of fucking throwing in overlays. It was
it was so bad.
mm,
So
editing, man.
like
Editing doesn't need to be that complex. If you just slap this together with some simple cutting, it would have been a more comprehensive story without bombarding me with information. It was like sensory overload. So many of the scenes were
they
just
didn't
I had to switch my brain off.
they didn't have to go over the complex story either. They could have literally just
No,
gone, she's a pro gamer, so she's got good like muscle memory or like reaction time.
whatever.
Like just let her have that rather than going into this complex, like the soul needs to do a blood transfusion.
Give us some bullshit where they're like, I don't know, invent a fucking robot and she has to sit at a computer and control this robot like FPS style. That would
Yeah.
have made more sense to the character and kind of been cooler rather than her running out with a crossbow. This is a fucking child with a weapon and you're getting to hunt down vampires. It's I'm not trying to like, oh, it's silly because it makes no sense. But none of the characters make any sense. That's my problem with it.
I mean, you
Let me
didn't
just
get
I'm just going through my reading a little bit. I wrote like right at the beginning, the intro is edited like a trailer, but it wasn't just the intro. It just kept happening. It was almost like a sequence of trailers side by side. Um the characters were so unlikable and I had no reason to root for them. The gamer girl was, I mean, kind of, but she was written very like Red Riding Hood, very very plain.
she was boring.
Um, pardon me,
She was boring. Like she
100%.
didn't have any
She
like
wasn't unlikable,
flair
but
or
she wasn't
anything.
like, yeah, I didn't like. I mean, I guess she was unlikable. I didn't really like her, but I didn't dislike her either.
I
But her
want
brother was an actual piece of shit,
to.
and I wanted the vampires to fuck him up. I didn't want him to become because they wanted to use his body or whatever. And that whole thing, like again, like all these complexities about like the dad and the bloodline, and it's just make a shitty fucking movie with some shitty fucking vampires and call it a day. You don't need to try and make it smart. And there's a line where he's like, forget everything you've heard about the vampires from the movies. These vampires are real. And then from then on, you can tell they're going to take these vampires into what they consider a smart and new and interesting dimension. But it's just as transparent and shitter because they've gone too complex into a story that was a mess from the beginning.
But it wasn't a good mess like Jurassic Domination. Like
No, it
even
was
the
just a bombardment of mess.
even the vampires looked average. Like there wasn't that
Yep,
much of a distinction between who's a
piece
human
of
and who's a
shitty eBay
vampire.
retractable. Did I looked up? So I went, not I looked up, but I went at the end. I was watching the credits, and I was just wanted to see where the music came from, and the majority of the music were from Audio Jungle and hold on, Audio Jungle and Soundstripe, and they
Yeah,
are both royalty free websites.
I told you that
They
was
didn't even
stock.
fucking pay for their music. Yes, you are
Yeah,
100% right.
I've heard that. I've done some. I've got a YouTube channel. I've used some YouTube
Yes, exactly, because
music before.
you are a zero budget guy in his house using free stock. My students use free stock. That's okay.
Yeah.
You're making a film with a budget. Don't use free stock. Don't just go online and grab the first songs that come up on the most popular list and throw them into. They had like there was the scene where her friend, the one that died, whatever, the social media star who I think they alluded to having OnlyFans as well at one point.
No,
Um,
it doesn't matter. It was like a one liner that
doesn't
they
matter.
threw in there.
And the scene where she's like first talking to the guy at the gym, the music in the background was like super tense and uncomfortable, but it was meant to be like a romance, like them hitting on each other. But they just made him. I mean, he was bad, but you, all the deaths happened off screen, so everything was weightless, and it was a mess. Why else? Shot changes. Is this TikTok generation editing? I wrote because I mean, there was also a scene where dialogue felt like it was sped up multiple times. I'm just one. This happened at the beginning, but I stopped making notes towards the end because I was just making too many. I reckon because they wanted the fast-paced, ridiculous editing, they actually sped up dialogue, which is ridiculous. This has to be satire.
I mean, you stopped caring about dialogue very early on, so they could have probably cut it out, just had fast pace. They could probably got this
Yeah,
down to like 60 minutes.
but they could have done. How much more fun would this have been if it was a almost scary movie esque type movie, and our characters are all caricatures? Like the blonde guy, he could have really steered into being one of the Paul brothers, and the gamer girl could have been I don't know many gamer girl Twitch streamers or whatever, but have them modeled after people and ham it up, like make it really over the top and silly and like scary movie and insult these people and make it a comment. Don't just make the same boring shit.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Although Scary Movie goes probably too over dramatic. I would have probably just preferred more like satire kind of Mel Brooks style, but just anything
Okay, yeah,
anything besides this. Like, I don't know. I think I'm past the old scary movie kind of phase. All those like
that's fair.
really over the top
We haven't
acting.
really seen much yet that's really like directly insulting some YouTubers and shit. Like, have we? I mean, I'm not exposed to that stuff.
No, we really don't watch those types of films. I think
Yeah, it's probably true.
we may have gone out of that age bracket.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
true. I mean, look, that's pretty much all my notes. I've repeated myself a lot.
Well,
So yeah,
what
it's a
would you give it?
fucking.
I reckon this
I
is a
was my
drum
question
roll.
today was because it's either a zero or a half. My big thing was, would I recommend this to someone over Mr. Harrigan's phone? And at least this was something you could like. There were multiple times where I was like, "Oi, Eb, come in and watch this scene," to show her how ridiculous some of the editing was. So at least this had some laugh at appeal. So maybe it's a one. Let's go with a one.
Okay, I'd give it a half. Like it's it was shocking. Like I would probably use bits and pieces to be like, yo, this don't do this.
Mm-hmm,
But
definitely.
there's no way I wouldn't even watch it with you and be like, yo, let's watch this because it was funny.
Not the whole thing.
But like it's just I'm glad it was short because I was sitting there going,
Yes.
I kind of really want this to be over. I did
Yes.
I did kind of think, oh, can I get away with like playing FIFA or something while this is on? Like,
Yeah,
do I need
that's
to pay
fair.
that much attention to it, or
Mm-hmm.
can I just sort of have it in the background and still know what's going on? Because
Yeah,
I don't care.
I probably slept for maybe 10 minutes of it
No,
in patches,
you
and
didn't.
I didn't
You,
miss anything.
no. Well, for context, IMDb has a 3 out of 10.
It's generous. But that's based on fans, and most people go on there to support, not to rag.
Yeah, so here's the breakdown from IMDb. So 10 stars, 29 people voted.
Uh,
For nine, 6 people. For eight, 4 people. Seven is 11 people. And then we go 30 for six, 44 for five, 68 for four,
yeah,
94
yeah,
for
yeah,
three. Yeah. So one has got 153. So not that many people voted. I doubt many people would actually
yeah.
see this.
It's 14% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah.
and that's like, yeah,
It was terrible.
it's not good. It's worth seeing some of the scenes because it's just so bizarre in the way it's editing. I've honestly never seen anything like it. I didn't even know movies. have been edited like that before.
uh,
It
it
was
was
just so much to take in.
like it was terrible. It
Hmm.
just I was just went into the comments and that someone goes like Zombieland for vampires only awful.
Only terrible. Yes. I was because I did think about the Zombieland link actually, and it was nothing like it
Yeah.
at all.
Someone
Zombieland is actually like an entertaining movie with
yeah,
entertaining and likable characters.
and they also went into the satire, not like they're not over
Yes.
the top in there. Like
Yes.
I guess Woody Harrelson's slightly over the top at times, but it's like it's not in your
But it
face.
suits his character.
Yeah.
I
Um,
didn't mind the vampire hunter character in this. I mean, at least he was
he had something to him.
he felt shit. Like, he kind of felt like he was steering into it more than the other actors. But all the young actors thought it was like their big break or some shit. And yeah, fucking
Yeah.
hated it. Cool, let's
another
move on.
another TikTok horror film. Like that's you're pretty much on the money with that one.
Oh, is that what someone said? Like
Yeah.
a review?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure about another because I haven't seen others, but this felt like just a fucking blast in the face with TikTok videos.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's talk about something really good.
Let's do it. Let's move on to something good. I've been
Mm-hmm.
excited for this. Like, I've started reading the manga as well because it's
Yeah, cool.
it's a big new. It sounds absolutely bonkers, and I'm
It's
so
great.
glad I'm so glad it's good. But
Yeah.
like, if you're gonna sell it to people, sell it like this because this is how I sold it to Lawson. A guy makes a pact with a devil chainsaw dog, and he is then able to get the heart of a demon and transform his body into chainsaws.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Like,
not like a symbolic the heart of a demon. He literally his heart is replaced by this dog chainsaw demon
yeah.
devil thing.
So this is our new segment. So this is the one of the TV shows that we watched. Well, I guess the anime that we watched, and we've watched 3 episodes. And at
Mm-hmm.
the end, we'll probably split this up into like a non-spoiler and a spoiler part, just so that you can, if you want to watch it, you'll be able to skip afterwards. So we'll give you the non-spoiler first, and then we'll give you the
Yeah, we'll say
spoilers
like from
after.
here, skip ahead. We
Yep.
can't say skip to here because we have no idea. But
I'll put it in the show notes down below if I
sure. Yeah, nice.
actually do it. So because we're professional like that. But
You,
anyway, here is the blurb. Following a betrayal, a young man left for the dead is reborn as a powerful devil-human hybrid after merging with his pet devil and is soon enlisted into an organization dedicated to hunting devils.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
there's currently 3 episodes out. This is currently, I think, the most popular manga currently. I did
Yeah, I've
see
heard
something
something.
about it. Like people are absolutely loving it. But we are,
Everyone's comparing it to Berserk, and that's a pretty massive comparison.
yeah. So this follows the story of Denji, is our main
Mm-hmm.
character, and he unfortunately we're not giving anything away because you sort of need to know his premise.
Yeah, I
But
think we can discuss the first episode. Like, if it's not really a
yeah,
spoiler, if it's within the first episode.
yeah. So you got to know his origin story. He's
Mm.
unfortunately he's pretty much orphaned. His parents died due to a condition, like a heart condition that makes them cough up blood, and the dad
Yeah,
like he wasn't fully explained, but regardless, his parents
yeah.
died and they were coughing up blood, so it's some
Mm-hmm.
type of disease. And he unfortunately has inherited his dad's debt, which is the dad owed money to some bad people who used to sell body parts to the mafia.
Mm.
So I was a little bit
He,
confused
it's
in
yeah,
terms
the
of
Yakuza.
yeah. So was the guy part of the Akuza, or was he like he was kind of a merchant, like offshoot that had affiliations with
Denji,
them?
or the guy that he had the deal
The
with.
guy that Denji was working for.
Yeah, he was saying he either he had links with the inner workings of. So I don't think he was actually part of the Yakuza, but he had
No,
friends in high places, sorts of things.
but
I think
he kind of operated like the Yakuza anyway in
very much
terms
so.
of like
Yeah.
whatever. But that's not really the point. We presented Denji. Unfortunately, he's down on his luck. He lives in a
Mm-hmm.
shed and he's like just doing whatever he can to get by.
Hmm.
And old Denji, you really feel sorry for him. Like I
Yeah.
felt sorry for old Denji, and I
Hmm.
liked the bond between the chainsaw dog and Denji.
I
Like
know.
they were bros. Like it
Give
was
me a character with a dog, and I'm gonna fucking love their interactions every time.
even a dog that's got a chainsaw sticking out its head. Like
Yeah, I mean, especially a dog with chancellor games.
like I kind of looked at it. I was like, that's a dumb design, but after you get to like see it and you get to see the
Yeah,
interactions, like sometimes
yeah,
when Denji was cuddling the dog, I was like,
yeah,
is that chainsaw like cutting you at
yeah.
points? It was like
Uh huh.
what's the go there?
Points. Ah!
Yeah, I got you there. But anyway,
Please continue.
he like there's so many points where they show what Denji's willing to do for money. So
Hmm.
he sold an eye, he sold a testicle, he sold
Kidney.
kidney.
Hmm.
The guy that's working, like driving the guy he's working for around's like, here, I'll give you 100 yen if you eat a cigarette. And he's like, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. It was 1,000 yen, which is like $1.
Yeah, I don't know what
It's
the
like, yeah, sure.
equivalent is.
Yeah,
But
I looked it up because like whenever shows talk about yen or euros or whatever, I have to look it up. So I made a note that 1,000 yen is, oh sorry, 1,000 yen is $10, and he was offered like, yeah, you said 100. That was what it was, yeah, which is $1.
yeah, so like you can see he's doing whatever he can. All his money pretty much goes to this guy, and this guy is just absolutely using and abusing
Hmm.
old Denji.
Yeah,
And like he's living off what one piece of bread, and they're like, yes, this is amazing. Like,
yeah, and it's like, oh, I've heard in some places they even put jam on bread. Like that's his aspiration, is just to be able to have jam on bread. I really
and
like that his motivations in the beginning are just, I just want to live a normal life. That's all he keeps saying, normal.
yeah, also he wants to feel what a like a woman feels like as well.
That's his later goal.
No,
That's
but
more like episode two.
no, he does mention it though in the first
Oh,
one.
you're right. You're right. He
Like,
does say he wants like a
but
girlfriend
it
and
doesn't become the focus until later. And God, I laughed
yes,
so much.
so fucking funny. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get to that.
but like as I kind of like how he became obviously the pack, so he gets betrayed by the
Hmm.
Akusa bloke, and the
Hmm.
Akusa bloke is controlled by a odd looking devil. Like the devil is able to
He was
control him.
the zombie devil.
That's it, the zombie
Yeah,
devil, and
and like
is
an army of undead that
yeah
tore him to pieces.
torn to pieces, and they get
Hmm.
thrown into a dumpster, and like they're both
Hmm.
they get stabbed, and they're looking really worse for wear, and you're like, oh, that was a quick episode.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming. But
and devils heal by drinking human blood,
yep,
and
that's
that's how in the beginning how Denji and this chainsaw devil became companions. So the chainsaw devil was dying, and he was like, "Drink my blood. If it can mean you can live, drink my blood. I heard you can live," and he saves him. And
yeah.
then, go on.
Because they've established that bond, and you actually do feel that bond.
Yeah.
You actually get to hear the dog talk. Does the dog have a name? Can't
No,
remember if
I
it
think it's
did.
just Chainsaw Devil. All the devils is referred to by
Whatever their
like
things
what
is.
they're modeled
Yeah.
after. Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually talks and is like, I'm going to give you a different pack, but this time I'm going to become your heart. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, they'll be together forever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, bros forever.
Right.
Right. And and he becomes like, obviously, he becomes all healed, and then
Hmm.
he needs to confront the zombie devil. And
Hmm.
that transformation, and I really like the action scenes. Like the animation is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good. I like how he's not a trained professional or anything, and they've kept that in
Hmm.
the action scenes. Like you can see him just
Just
absolutely
chaos.
just running and throwing hands,
Yeah.
and like it's
Love that.
like it's not overly stylish. I like the brutality. I like the
Hmm.
rawness of his movements. Like I feel like that was pretty hard to capture in terms of normally you get those action scenes like I've watched a lot of
Hmm.
Naruto, Bleach, and they're all like really
Yeah. Yeah.
stylized because they're trained like in
Yeah. Hundred
fighting.
percent.
Where this
Hundred
was
percent.
just raw, like you can see him throwing haymakers, you can see him
Yeah.
just
Just lashing out.
yeah,
Because he said at one point, like his literally, I know you look behind me, YouTube can see it, but he says he loses too much blood. Like it literally tears his arm in half.
yeah,
Like
it
imagine how
splits it down,
much
doesn't it?
yeah, like imagine how much pain and adrenaline would just be like flooding through an untrained three chainsaw monster. Like it feels exactly how it should. It's fucking awesome.
And I love how his head's like an actual proper chainsaw, but it opens like
Yeah,
at the bottom with all the
yeah.
sharp teeth, and his neck's like all the wires and like pumps and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like it's so
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's
Yeah, it's a really cool design. When I first saw it and before I heard much about it, it it like outside looking in, it looked dumb. And I
yeah.
sort of thought it was overhyped or like I was anticipating a bit of overhype, I guess. But it paid off without revealing too much about the next two episodes and sort of the journey that it goes on. Um, he at the end of the episode is rescued by a girl who works for, and it says it in the blurb anyway, who works for a like an agency that hunts devils. He's been hunting devils sort of freelance recently.
What was her
And
name? Makima?
Makima, Miss
Yeah,
Makima,
that's right.
Makima-san, and
That's
they kept yeah, like you see them interact, and this is really one of the first women that he's even really spoke to. Um, and she manipulates the fuck out of him, which I don't want to go into too much yet. But um, yeah, I liked that it took us somewhere at the end. It wasn't just we ended the first episode on him kicking ass, and then we just end. Like I'm really glad that straight away they took us into where the show is going, while also giving us, we had probably like 15 minutes with the characters, even maybe a little bit longer before we were introduced to, you know, this chainsaw man. I think that's important because we got to spend time with, like you said, building a relationship between the chainsaw devil and Denji, and seeing, what he wants in life and his goals and whatever, and that makes the payoff so much better. It
and
was,
like
yeah,
the pacing was
beautiful,
good as well. Like
definitely.
it was not slow. You still
Mm-mm.
able to get those connections. The fight scenes are real good. Like they're not
Yeah.
overly stylish. You get the brutality. There's lots of
Mm-hmm.
gore. So if you don't like the gore, like after the demon kills, you can see like the innards and the blood's going everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's stylish anime gore, I guess. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what you're in for. I know some people probably won't like that, but like
But it doesn't feel like the way, I know it's hard to compare these two, but the way that Terrifier 2 felt over the top, like it was so intentionally gruesome, whereas this just felt, like you said, stylistic. It felt almost like Tarantino-esque, where the violence matched the characters. Like it made sense. It wasn't just over the top for the sake of being over the top.
yeah, and I like how his transformation has a drawback. Like lots of the time, these characters, they just as soon as they transform, they're like, "Oh, I've just beaten whatever I can because I have, I guess, plot armor."
Mm-hmm.
Where then they go back to their normal selves, but there's no like ramifications where he's like, "Oh, I lose too much blood." Like
Yep.
there's a point where I need to kind of be careful of what I'm going to do because it's essentially ripping it out of his hand. Like it literally comes out the middle of his hand. You can see his hand on either side of the chainsaw blade.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly. Did you watch the first episode in double sub?
dubbed. I watched dubbed and then two subs.
Did you notice the voice of Zombie Devil?
Uh, no.
I noticed it was like recognizable, but it didn't actually pinpoint who it was. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense.
Who was it?
It was Freezer.
Ah,
The voice of Freezer was Zombie Devil. It was like a
that's
nice little I heard. I was like, oh, that sounds real familiar.
I
Yeah.
did recognize the voice of the main dude,
Denji.
Denji. I was like, oh, what else was he in?
Okay.
But I couldn't quite pick it.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
But
I didn't pick his up. But to be honest, he just sounded like, random white kid or random anime kid. He just sounded
yeah,
like every other. He's in My Hero.
yeah, he's in My
Um,
Hero. He's in Attack on Titans, JoJo's. Well,
okay.
he's
So
got
he's
a
in things.
he's got a
Demon
big
Slayer. All
list.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Sure, sure.
yeah. But
Ah, just no Freezer.
he's no the guy that does Ichigo in Bleach. Like he was the one of the Power Rangers. He's so good.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he does so much. Like his voice acting list is massive. I mean, he's great. Johnny Young Booch is the guy that
Sure,
does Ichigo. And was
I believe
he?
you.
I can't remember what Power Ranger he was. I really want to know now. But
I mean, let's just
I'm
while
on
you
a
look that
roll.
up, I'll just sort of wrap up the spoiler free. Would recommend it? Yes. It's really, really good. The comedy's on point. The action scenes, like I said, they make sense. They're over the top. They're really fun. Um, the comedy definitely gets better and better and better. Like if you watch the first episode and think it's not that funny or whatever, I mean, it's not meant to be funny. It's not animes aren't built on comedy, not always. Um, whereas I think the comedy really comes into its own in episodes 2 and 3, and it becomes like really actually funny. And I like when shows like this, any show really, when we got these really aggressive, ridiculous, over the top, violent, really fun action scenes. When we don't have action scenes, we need to be entertained, and sometimes that's really good story, and that's what we get in like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But sometimes, and this has good story too, but sometimes it's really funny and fun characters, and that's what this story has. So highly recommended. We're going to spoil the shit out of the next two episodes very soon.
Are you not entertained? But anyway, he was the Black Power Ranger.
The Black Power Ranger.
Yep,
Okay, I thought the
yep.
Black Power Ranger was black.
In the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Oh, is the
Yep,
voice actor is the voice actor black?
of Ichigo Kurosaki.
Yeah,
Um,
'cause
mm,
I thought the Black Power Ranger was indeed black. I thought that was
it
the whole joke.
originally was, and then
All right, so not the original.
no,
I have
but
no idea.
he was the Black Power Ranger. But
Sure.
he's also been in 413 things.
Well, Jesus. Okay,
Like he's been in a
that's
lot. And considering Bleach has got like 300 episodes, 200 episodes,
yeah,
and plus
something
it's
silly that I can't even. Yeah,
I so want you to watch Bleach. I love Bleach. It's so
I know
good.
you do.
Get around it. But yeah, he's
Will of
awesome.
time.
Maybe. But yeah, the next two episodes, well, we pretty much pick up. We're going to spoilers here, so
Mm-hmm.
be warned. Which is episode 2 picks up exactly where episode 1 left off. We're presented with Denji and me. Oh, I can't even say her name. Me
You can.
Mihato
Makima. Makima.
Makima.
Yeah.
So she's pretty much telling Denji what's going on, that she works for an organization. If
Or is it
he,
Makima?
whatever,
Sorry.
that she works for this organization, and that he
Mm-hmm.
can work for him because she has this weird sense of smell where she can like tell that he's not human and he's not devil. He's like
Yeah.
an odd smell, which
Mm-hmm.
weirdly in episode 2, the power also has that smell. Like she's able to smell that
Yeah.
he's a bit
The
different. So
power is the power is actually a devil. There's no human in control anymore. The human it's just a human shell is the difference.
right, yeah.
My
So
understanding
okay, but in terms of the smell, like I don't, they didn't mention anything about the smell, did they? In terms of
of the power, no,
yeah, like
no,
it's just
because she is a devil, and
yeah,
because she keeps referring to Denji as human. So even in the eyes of a devil, Denji is a human when he's in non Chainsaw Man mode.
yeah. So she's like treating him really nicely and giving him food, and like I
Mm-hmm.
really like I guess the bond that was forming. Like you can see he's a lost puppy dog, and as soon as someone's
Yeah,
nice to him, like I
very much
feel like
so.
there's something big coming, and
Mm.
unfortunately, old Denji's gonna be
I
caught in the
love her
middle.
manipulative language when he asks her, "So, what kind of guys do you normally like?"
That's all right.
And she's like, "I like the Denji type of guys." But you know that's her fucking line with everyone, and she leads the other guy on as well. Who the other guy, I forget his name. I didn't write it down.
Uh,
Aki.
That's right. But
Um, you can see he's in love with her too. That's
how's
just
it?
she uses her sexuality as a power. Go on.
How's that Denji? Like after she goes, I'm into Denji guys, and then it just fades to black, and he's like just puppy dog just
Yeah.
straight after her. Like
Yeah.
the
It's
humor in
real
it
funny.
is really funny. Like it's not over the top. It's
Yeah.
reasonably subtle humor,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's good fun. Like you can see him always sort of looking at her chest as well. Like
Yeah.
he's
But again, it doesn't feel overly perverted and weird because he's a little virgin loner teenager.
yeah,
Like
and
it
like
makes sense exactly who his character would be. He'd be obsessed with boobs and girls and all that sort of stuff.
and like we all go through that period of time where it's like all new and exciting, and you do get
Mm,
really focused on it. So it's kind of it's quite relatable. It's
100%.
it's so funny, and I like when he finally goes out on a mission. Like you can see he's presenting in this big world, and he gets partnered with what was his
Aki.
name, Aki, and then they have a little blue, and he's like,
Oh my
no,
god.
because I like her. You were a fool. He's like, when I like guys, I go straight for the nuts.
Yeah, you must really be a nice guy because when I fight guys, it's nuts or nothing. He just
And
boots him in the balls over and
multiple
over and
times.
over again. And then Aki gets up and continues like fighting him properly, like punches and whatnot. And then as soon as Genji turns back around, it's just whack straight in the balls again. Nuts or nothing, man. Oh, I laughed so hard. It was great.
It was
And then the scene straight after was them both like limping in to go see Miss Makima, and she's like, "What happened?" And Denji's like, "Oh, this." He said, "The nut devil came out, went straight for his nuts." Oh, it's my kind of humor,
oh,
just silly and fun.
it was so funny.
Yeah,
I wish there was an actual like devil later on that is the nut devil.
I hope so,
I
man.
hope there is. I hope they keep playing on that on that joke. That would be
That was actually while we're on the point of devils, I love the the law of the more feared the object is that the devil is based on, the more powerful the devil. So the more that you can picture, and the connection they make is if like a car devil would be quite powerful because you can easily picture yourself dying in a car accident. But I think she says like, I can't remember what she says, something like a cupcake devil or whatever. Like that's not so easy to, you know. And she's like, that's what make the devil, the chainsaw devil so interesting because chainsaws are quite scary. And I love that because now whenever I see a devil, I can instantly know how dangerous it's going to be. And we fight the bat devil in episode 3. I'm like, okay, bats, they're a bit more feared than like a shoe, but less feared than a shark or whatever. Like, I love that's a really simple way of giving your monsters a power level that we can connect with. And I love that. That's really nice writing to me.
and you can like scale it up to whatever you want in terms of
Yeah.
you can keep going, but you don't want to go like too heavy too quickly. Although like some people may, I guess, be more scared of things. Like if they do a
Mm-hmm.
spider devil, like
Yeah.
like
Well, we saw
that's
a sea cucumber devil that
yeah.
power destroyed in one hit.
Oh, the introduction of power, I found that she's kind of interesting. I liked her character. Like
Yeah.
she's a very weird mix. She's a fiend, not a devil.
Yes.
So what was the difference?
And a fiend is pretty much so a devil is, the chainsaw devil, the zombie devil, whatever. A fiend is a human body that's been more or less like taken over by a devil. Or at least my understanding currently. And so yeah, we've got this person called Power. She was the blood devil, and she can summon like hammers and whatnot from her own blood. And she's supposedly like really, really powerful.
yeah.
Um, she's really fucking awesome. I liked her a lot.
We forgot the interaction between like Denji when he first sees the fiend, and the bloke's like trying to assess his, I
Yeah,
guess, powers. and he's
Yeah.
he's just carrying this like I guess hatchet kind of axe around,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, I just like he's like, all right, transform because you got to deal with it, and then he just lobs his head off, and I
Yeah.
love how he's like he gets berated by old mate because he's like, no, I didn't want to lose too much blood. And then as
Mm-hmm.
soon as he's out the room, he's like, no, because I didn't want my porno magazines to
Yeah, there's these porn magazines
get
sitting on the
wrecked.
floor, and it's like everything gets so bloody when I turn into a chainsaw. I have to keep this porn magazine safe. But he did say, and they keep reinforcing this. They've had like a few little flashbacks of I won't kill a demon if I can make friends with it. I will.
Yeah,
Which I like that his character has that gray area that it's not all demons. I keep saying demons, are they called devils? Not all devils are evil in his eyes, and of course not. He's got a devil as his heart. He formed a relationship with the devil.
yeah. I
I
just
think
thought
that
that
adds so much layer to his character.
I wanted it to go down the route of like Naruto, where they have a big battle, but then they'll have like a conversation, and all of a sudden they'll be like, "Oh, maybe you are right," kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like, have you seen much of Naruto?
no, but I can see what you mean.
Yeah,
Like how characters sort of flip flop on each other when it's convenient.
yeah. Like, I don't want
Mm-hmm.
that. I want them to at least have strong morals in terms of where they're going. Like, but we're only
Yeah.
3 episodes in, so
Yep.
like time will tell. But Power,
What else is worth mentioning? Go on. Sorry.
like Power's random story, like you can see something was going on. You can see how wild and reckless she is,
Mm-hmm.
but her
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is she really loves cats.
One cat,
Yeah.
and sort
No,
of
no,
she was raising it to eat.
she said all cats because like when Denji and her are in that I guess at the vending machine, she gets another cat and she says she doesn't like humans, like she only likes cats. And that's where he's like
Oh,
talks about his dog, where he's like, I prefer dogs. But then they have that not bonding moment, but it's the setting up bonding moment where he's like,
yeah.
now I lost my dog and now he's here. And she's like, oh, okay. It doesn't
I loved.
get the meeting.
Yeah, the moment again. This is like leading into how just fucking how funny it is when he's in that exact scene that vending machine. She's telling him what she wants. Everything she does is she wants this cat back, and he's like, oh, I really want to. I want to touch a boob. Like I need to touch boobs. That's his goal. And then she's like, well, get my cat back, touch my boobs. And then he's straight, he goes straight from that's a dumb motivation, like whatever, who cares, to that fucking devil. I will not sleep, I will not rest. And just like that huge monologue he goes into about needing to kill this devil, and the injustice of the cat. And so funny. Just
And
good
like,
writing.
even the editing, like every moment you get, you can see they do a close up of his eyes and then straight to her chest. And it's like,
Yeah. The point of view shots. Yeah, they do that a
yeah,
lot. Hey,
just
but it didn't feel like if you watched the Seven Deadly Sins anime.
I think I saw the first season, and then after that, I just stopped. It was,
Fair. I'm a fan. I really like it. I mean, anything to do with Seven Deadly Sins is up my alley. But one thing they do a lot of is that sort of pervy character staring at breasts and upskirts and stuff. And it's done. I don't know. It feels distasteful and kind of gross and pervy. But this is a kid, and it's funny and it's relatable. I mean, as a young man 15 years ago going through the same sort of shit, I get it.
yeah,
It's funny. It's immature, but in a light-hearted and fun way. It's not just like fart jokes and stupid, like oh, I like boobs.
well, but at that point in time in your life, like that was probably that was
Yeah,
one of my main focus, like day to day.
yeah.
It was that's what I
I
wanted
want
to
to touch
do.
boob. Oh shit.
So like,
Um.
oh, but the little bit of a betrayal powers, like I would really want my
Mhm.
cat back, and you're like, oh
And the
wow, all
bad
right.
demon, bad
I
devil.
really thought that was it. I was like, all right, Power's now gone. She's not going
Hmm.
to make a resurgence in terms of we've just been led into this character. I feel like she'll come
Hmm.
back, but the Bat Demon
Yeah, I
was
think
kind
she's
of
too
cool.
cool not to.
Yeah, there's too much of a setup. And like, even
Hmm.
when the Bat is finally like, he gets, well, he heals by the blood, but it's like because
Hmm.
Denji's not full human, he's like the blood tastes gross, like,
Yeah,
and that's how he healed, and
and yet he
he
tries eating her, even though he's like, "Oh, it's disgusting."
yeah, well, I think it was. I don't know. I guess you've been sitting there for a while, he's been saying. So I don't know. I guess
Mm.
hunger would sort of come over you when you
Set in, yeah,
start
yeah.
to eat whatever. So I guess that
His sonar attack was fucking awesome when he
oh,
like
whereas
like a bat sonar and he shot
yeah,
out of the back of his throat.
where they
That's
have
really
it.
cool.
I love the air fight where you like he just takes off because he's eaten was it power and also the cat meow.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a dumb name, but it's
Meowie,
got yeah,
I
it's
think it was.
funny. So he eats them,
Simple.
but he doesn't actually chew. So I'm assuming Denji will
Yeah,
like cut them up and they'll come back.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
like easy, easy way for them to come back.
Hmm.
But
But cool fight.
very, very cool fight. Lots of
Hmm.
destruction. Like I don't know how they're going
Yeah,
to be like, okay, you've caused so much damage because I guess they'll get
yeah.
reprimanded, but nothing will come
But the
from it.
world's very aware. It's not like devils. It's not like Men in Black where the devils are like the aliens and they're sort of being hidden from the public. The devils are very almost common in a way.
Yeah, they have
Um,
police like fighting against the
yeah,
demons and they'll call these guys in to come help
yeah,
them out
yeah.
and
These are like
stuff.
the Secret Service. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they even like the moment where he's walking around the city and he's asked by some cops and he just flashes the card and he's like, "I'm a hunter." And like, okay, on your way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think one thing I am cautious, I guess, apprehensive is what I keep going to. Um, he feels a little invincible at the moment. I'm not sure if you watch One Punch Man, but I got sort of bored of One Punch Man because they never felt. I mean, anime is never going to really feel like they could lose. It's not like Game of Thrones where characters actually die, or sort of sometimes. But I worry that he's going to just feel too powerful going forward. But we haven't really seen any high level devils yet. So it's going to be interesting to, will he actually need to get some training? Is he just going to be this chaotic ball for forever? We're going to see some training and some growth. And I guess there's room for that.
I reckon you will definitely get that because
Mm-hmm.
they got to do something. It can't just be the top, I guess, selling manga at the moment because it's like
Yeah.
Monster of the Week. There has to be
Yeah.
an element to it. So if
Mm-hmm.
even like My Hero, you were kind of presented with like I guess a training or a I'm gonna
Yeah.
be the very
Development.
best. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason why Denji is like I guess training his heart out and he is performing. Like there has to be something like My Hero is a very good show. It's a very popular manga. Like that people aren't going to be buying it just because the
Yes.
ridiculous premise. So
And how much have you read of it so far?
pretty much where we're up to now. Like I've only got
Okay.
to like 3 or 4 chapters. I was trying to
All right.
finish Dragon Ball Super, so I'm now caught up with
Hmm.
Dragon Ball Super.
Fair, fair.
Yeah, which goes
Yeah, I'm
into
super keen to watch more of this.
yeah,
I don't like watching things this early because already straight away, as soon as I finished that episode, I wished I had more to watch. And that's a good thing. But
yeah,
I'm gonna wait a while for this to come out. Might even wait for the dub to come out because I hate reading. Um, but we'll see. It's very good. Super
yeah.
keen for more. What would I
It's
give it? What would you give it?
well, I had a great time. For me, it
Mm-hmm.
was like I was engaged throughout all 3 episodes, and I wanted
Yeah,
more. It's easy 4.5. Like I was
yeah,
giggling.
yeah.
I liked the action. I enjoyed pretty much every second of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for what I want in the beginning of an anime, I couldn't ask for more. So I mean, it's a five. It's a 4.5. Um, it's probably perfect for a beginning. It's introducing enough characters. It's posing enough questions, and I guess, like I said, the only thing I'm kind of worried about is how powerful he's going to feel. But more powerful means they can throw more powerful enemies at him. So super keen for more. Really excited. I haven't watched a beginning of an anime in a while, and been super excited for more. So bring it.
Yeah,
You.
check it out. Our final segment, which is another series, which is Netflix's newest, which I'm surprised about. Like, I was interested to see what they were going to do with it. Obviously, Del Torre
Yeah.
is incredible with his like Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water. Like, he hasn't missed too many times where they've given him a his own TV series. It's got 8
Mm-hmm.
episodes. It's very Black Mirror esque in terms of
Yeah,
each
it's an anthology
episode's
series.
yeah, each episode's a different little nice drama, mystery, horror kind of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
escapade. We're going to do the first 2 episodes because they're 40 minutes each, roughly about that.
But episode 3 is an hour, so
Yeah,
that's the beauty, and it's giving some time getting used to. That is the beauty of streaming services. Is they're not glued into a time restraint. They can let the story play out the way it needs to.
yeah. So the old blurb is bizarre nightmares unfold in 8 tales of terror in a visually stunning, spine-tingling horror collection crafted by Del Torre. So
Can I quickly just get his name right?
nope, nope, never.
It's Toro as well. It's Toro. Where are you putting Ray at the end for?
I don't know because it sounds cool.
Guillermo del
Guillermo
Toro.
del Toro. Torre.
Guy Guy Elmo. That'll do. Like Guy Elmo.
Hey, why this?
Guillermo del Toro.
Whatever.
It's not actually Elmo, but I mean, for the sake of pronunciation.
Well, at this point, we all know that I get names wrong and I add I add letters.
But
So
at least say Toro, like Del Toro.
yeah, whatever.
No, it's not whatever. It's someone's name.
Don't change me now. You know me for 10
Don't
years.
change me now,
How long
cause
have
I'm
I been doing
having a
this for?
good time.
That's
Don't
right.
copyright us
They come to you for the art house, they come for me for the jokes.
for the mispronunciations of names. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the comic relief character. You're the you're the I don't know, all the other characters. you,
Fucking supposed art house fan.
you are secret art house. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, this reminded me of the. Do you ever watch the Tales of the Crypt? You know, like or the Goosebumps.
Yes, I was thinking this feels like an adult Goosebumps.
Yeah, in terms of they
Mm-hmm.
present what's happening like
Mm-hmm.
before they go into the episode. It just reminded me of that nostalgia of being able to stay up late and watching those like
Yeah.
tales from the Crypt Master where he's like telling you what's going to come or he's reading a
Mm-hmm.
book
Mm-hmm.
or like the Goosebumps person's telling you. Like I really liked it. I like how he
Even the
presents.
games you've been playing.
Hey,
Even the games you've been playing recently on
oh, that's right.
Tuesdays.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
on stream we've been playing Until Dawn, Man of Mendan.
Madan.
Yeah, I got it right.
No, you
You
said
know,
Mendan.
whatever, it's
It's
close.
Madan.
Kept calling it mundane. So
Yeah, so you're closest, the closest I've ever heard
yeah,
you.
that's right. Little Hope, and also now we're on to House of Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so whatever. They have
They
a
presented similarly. There's like a narrator that comes in and out and introduces you to the characters in the story and stuff.
yeah. So I
I
quite
like that.
like that, and he actually tells you who's directing it as well. So
Mm-hmm.
he self directs the first episode, which is
No,
what he
it's another.
does.
It's a Guillermo, but it's not. It's not Guillermo del Toro. It's Guillermo Navarro.
Is it? Nah, I just
Yeah,
saw Toro and I was like, he did it himself. That's cool.
it's not Guillermo del Toro. He wrote the first one.
He wrote it.
But Guillermo Navarro, he did like Pan's Labyrinth and Spy Kids and um,
Right.
yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Sorry, not the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
person.
Right. No, he did the cinematography in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes,
Yeah, he didn't direct
no, he
it.
didn't direct it. Guillermo del Toro directed it, but
Man.
Guillermo del Toro did not direct the first episode. He wrote the first episode. Guillermo Navarro directed
Nah, there's too many Gimaras.
it. Too many
There's too
Guillermos.
many. It's too much for my little brain. I lift heavy
I've got
things.
a synopsis of the first episode here. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, you do it because I've butchered enough names.
Sorry, I feel bad, but
What for?
so yeah, the first one was directed by Guillermo Navarro, written by Guillermo del Toro. Um, the synopsis is to pay off his debt, another debt story. Pay off his debt, a man secures a storage unit filled with mysterious items to sell, but soon finds himself in a desperate situation.
Yes, he
Main
does.
character is Tim Blake Nelson, which is if you've seen Holes, he's like
Holes
the
was great, eh?
caretaker. Fantastic movie. He's also in Ballad of Buster Scruggs. He's in a bit. He's one of those actors that's in a lot of things, but not sort of known for one. If that makes sense.
Even Oh Brother, Where Are Thou? I hated that movie. It sucked. He was in
Yeah,
the Incredible Hulk.
he was in Deidre and Lady Rubber Train, which is pretty good.
Oh, he was in Lost Ollie as
Um,
well. Lost Ollie was a good little mini series of
I
Netflix.
haven't seen that,
Yeah, worth it.
but yeah. So yeah, he was great. He so he plays the he's a guy in debt. Is it explained why? I'm not really sure, but he has debts to pay and he's being hunted down. Very similar, actually, to the setup of um, Chainsaw Man. But yeah, he's being followed by thugs, more or less, I guess, and he's got a debt to pay of some description. So he buys a storage locker, and he goes into the storage locker, grabs a bunch of stuff out, whatever, and he finds a big round table with a pentagram on it, and it turns out it's a seance table, and we learn that it's been stained with blood over time. That's why it's got a red tinge to it, whatever. And he takes it to a like an appraiser, I guess, or an antique dealer, and she finds a little secret button. Out pops a drawer, and in the drawer are these three very rare demonic books on how to summon demons and whatnot. Um, they call across some random European guy who loses marbles over it, and they need the fourth book because the fourth book is worth 300,000 alone. The other one's only worth like 10 grand or something together. Because the fourth book, when it's used to summon a demon, a devil, or whatever, it burns up. That's why it's so rare, supposedly. So um,
It's a
that's more or
binding,
less,
pretty much a binding book.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the
yep,
main
yep,
thing.
yep.
So he could like control it, or well, I guess
Mm-hmm,
keep it there. But
mm-hmm.
there was that whole intro in terms of establishing him as an ex-vet. Like there was lots of cutbacks to the screen in terms of the news, and they were saying it's like there's lots of fighting going on.
Yeah,
They made, I'm assuming this is in a bit of a parallel kind of world, because I was a little bit confused in terms of people being forced to fight. Was it like what was it when they were,
description.
yeah,
Yeah.
they made
Um,
random connections to my company was all free people, like we had a choice.
yeah, because he like I said, he's an ex vet. I didn't really, yeah, I didn't pick all that up. I just assumed he was just ambiguous war veteran. I didn't really pick up too much on what fights breaking out and if this is in a alternate dimension sort of
Oh,
dystopian.
really?
I don't really know. Yeah, I missed all
Because
that.
right at the start, like the intro was obviously the news broadcast of them talking about the
Yeah,
war,
yeah,
and then he's driving along, and they've got the Black Lives Matter, the White Lives Matter. I don't know why they brought so much attention to that in terms of, I guess,
yeah.
the
I guess
conflict
they
to
just,
it.
to me it was just they sort of wanted to introduce that this guy is a redneck piece of shit. And that's all I got
Yeah,
out of it.
but then they kept making reference to that, and they also made reference to the war. And in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the war was still going on, like they made
Mm-hmm.
reference to Nazis, they made reference to like
They did.
the war is still going on. Like,
Yeah.
was it still part of World War II that they think that was still going on? Like, I wasn't sure in terms of where they were establishing with it. I
Mm.
knew this was like obviously a short story in terms of you're presented with this episode and you're going to get the conclusion
I
by the
wonder
end.
if yeah, I wonder if it was a commentary on that we all these wars are happening around us and whatever, but none of it really matters because the real war is against like the underworld sort of thing.
I don't know. I felt like they just wanted to keep establishing that he was an ex-vet, but I don't know. I guess
Yeah,
they wanted the Nazi Germany stuff in there because it does play into a lot of.
yeah. Well, the person who owned the storage locker, his family was like scientists. Something they said that's something to do with Nazis and having to escape.
They made weaponry, so they made
Made weapon.
tanks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
because
Um,
the old guy that wants the book is like, I got a confession. The guy's locker that he bought is actually their
yeah,
family's really rich. They were part of the war. He doesn't want to go
that's
into
right.
good and
Yeah.
evil, but he's like,
Hmm.
they made weaponry for the Nazis, and
Yeah, and
like
then
that's
fled to America to escape any sort of punishment, blah blah.
yeah.
Yeah, which again, like you said, it didn't really need to be part of the over story. Like, it didn't really add to any mystery or anything about the characters.
I felt like they could
Um,
have dropped that and just focused on him and his debts. Like, how did he get down on his luck? How did he
I
get
would
in
have
his
preferred that.
debts? Like, that would have been nicer than trying to go this convoluted kind of
Hmm.
like they could have just been this backstory of this guy who's really into demonic stuff because there was a whole part about the
Yeah.
sister as well. The sister went missing, and that's why the guy once they're actually in the storage locker looking for the book, they were like,
Hmm.
"Where's the sister?" And he got the newspaper
Yeah.
articles. Also, when they find the secret room, that was really easy to find. And secondly,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever tried to pick a lock, but there's not easy. And he's just like gets his knife out and goes,
He
"Got it."
does.
Like,
Just shoves it in there. No raking. I have tried picking a lock. I've taught myself how to. And it's not with one tool, just shoving it into a lock, and all of a sudden it comes undone.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, do that right. It's not hard to get that right anymore.
like you could have used a crowbar, could have used a sledgehammer, anything, bolt
Yeah,
cutters. Like you've got all that going around.
not
And also,
some whoop. Now it's unlocked.
yeah, and also the lady that was like
Yeah, I was going to
after
talk about
the
her next as well.
like
Go on.
she didn't really play into anything. Like she wasn't really
No.
explained. Like how did she own the locker? What is
Hmm.
happening? Because like after the sale, she comes in and she's like, "Oh no, here's my rent for another 2 months," and he's like, "I've already sold it. Bad luck."
Yeah,
And
and
then
it
she's
wasn't even that locker.
no,
It
it
was
was
a locker that he bought last week or something.
yeah, it was so
What,
odd. Why
87 or some shit.
so odd?
She was
Why
only in the story for the payoff at the end where he is trying to escape, and because he's been mean to her and he's like, let me out, lady, let me out, like this is life or death. She's like, no.
yeah,
And because she didn't get her photos out of a locker, she's gonna let him die. Yeah.
yes,
That plot with her was totally unnecessary.
like yeah, it was
Not
odd.
wrong.
Like, and she
Hmm.
just hung around the entire time. Like, why would she hang around for that long?
Yeah,
Like, she was
right?
there for a long
She was there
time.
all fucking night to the point where old mate, like Tim Blake Nelson's, I forget his character's name, but he left, went to an appraiser, waited at the appraiser for another appraiser to come, and then got back, and she was still wandering around on her own.
Yeah,
Like,
and
what the fuck?
just,
Yeah,
just hanging around. Like, it was what it is. And then
yeah.
even the guy selling the locker, like their interactions were odd. Like, he literally could have just sold the locker and just moved on. Like he never really added anything besides explaining that the place is not up to sanction, that is falling
Oh,
apart,
sure.
and like
And the
allowing,
whole like the pipe was leaking,
yeah,
and he was fixing that. Like, I thought that was gonna have some reincorporation later. Like the way they kept hammering in the fact that the lights had to turn off automatically. I
I
thought they were
think that
setting something
was
up
the only
pretty,
thing.
but they didn't set anything up. Like, there was one moment where the lights turned off and it was kind of spooky, but they didn't even set up that. I thought the monster would be like, it can't move while the lights are on, and the fact that the lights keep turning off and we can hear that timer is like almost like SCP containment chamber, where if you blink, or the Weeping Angels in Doctor Who, when you blink or turn, they're after you. Like, you're waiting for that to happen. I thought that's what they were setting up, but it was kind of a letdown, the payoff.
Yeah, I did like the final scene where it was like the demon, well, got out in terms of
Mm-hmm.
they found the sister. Old mate had
Mm-hmm.
been keeping the sister there, and he's like, "No, don't break the circle," and he just charges in.
He just walks in because he doesn't believe any of it.
It's kind of true to his character, so
Yeah,
that's fair. But like the whole demon thing, I didn't really feel like there was that big payoff with the
no.
demon. Like it wasn't that scary. It was just a
Mm-mm.
leg with tentacles.
Yeah, I like that the appraiser guy was so transfixed. So, um, he couldn't even bring himself to run away. He wanted to experience this demon. He was so excited, I guess, that he just sort of sat there and took it and died. Um, I did like the monster looked really cool.
Mm.
But it was always going to. Yeah, it wasn't worth the payoff. I think the suspense that was built should have led somewhere a bit better than that. Glad he died though. I like when main characters, especially in anthology series like this, where I haven't spent weeks and weeks getting to know them. Seeing him die at the end is satisfying, especially when it's a racist piece of shit like this. Seeing him get fucked over, cool, great.
Yeah, yeah. I did like the end where it was like as he dies, it puts to the light switch, and it's like that's it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. Like you, that was
Yep,
a nice like your time's run out. Good little
yep,
symbolism kind of thing.
yeah.
Look at
Look at
me,
you, art
yeah,
house
our
boy.
house. Yeah, that's right. Taking the mantle. Maybe I'm just deflecting all onto you. That's
Yeah,
right.
good shit.
I'm really the art house man. But yeah,
3.5.
it was a three. It was just a lot of plot holes that I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
why are you doing this? Like I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they built up and they did it reasonably well. It just didn't really have heaps of payoff.
Mm-hmm.
Are these based off like folklore of some sort? Because the next one we go into graveyard rats in terms
Yeah.
of like, are they built off, I guess, old stories of like here and there of like folklore or anything like that? In terms of,
Maybe
I guess,
like the next one's written and directed by the same guy, um, who isn't Guillermo del Toro or isn't
but
any Guillermo's at all.
this one's Vincenzo.
Vincenzo Natali.
Yeah, you do the names from now on.
Sure.
But like, is it based? Because this is obviously based off grave robbers and rats, and like
Mm-hmm.
this. I don't know. There's lots of stories about grave robbers and rats, but obviously
Yeah.
demonic stuff. Like, did you see at the end of the first one where it gave you like, I guess, the preview of all the different ones that are
Yeah, I
coming
wish I
up?
didn't see that though. I wish the
Yeah,
reveal of the rat was a bit better.
yeah. But anyway, this one is a grave robber. A grave robber's eyes the riches of a wealthy new arrival to the cemetery, but must survive a maze of tunnels and an army of rodents to secure them.
Secure them.
Ah, but it's I preferred this one over the other one. It,
Okay.
I quite like the main dude, Masson.
Mm-hmm.
Masson,
Yeah.
yeah.
Masson. He was
Like
cool.
I enjoyed him. You're presented to two grave robbers. They're robbing it, and then you're presented with him with a gun robbing the grave
Mm-hmm.
robbers. And
Mm-hmm.
like again, I didn't like how everyone's kind of always down on their luck. Like obviously,
Yeah.
the other guy's
And
down
what
on
was
his
his
luck.
motivation? Why was he robbing graves?
This guy because he owes debts. Like
Yeah.
yeah. And again, it was never explained why. Oh no, they did briefly say he lost in a card game or something.
Yeah.
He
He
had a
said it
bad
was, yeah.
hand.
Yeah, more
But
or less a bad game of cards. But he was being hunted down. It was the same setup as the first. Maybe that's the whole thing. Maybe every character in this is going to be set up the same way. They have debts and they have to resort to shit like this. I don't
I
know.
hope
It
not.
seems
I hope they don't do that. I want it
yeah,
to be
ditto.
I want it to be different throughout. But
Mm-hmm.
he's Robin Graves,
Mm-hmm.
and his whole thing is he becomes short because the rats are taking things. No one believes him. No one believes me, but it turns out to be
Yeah.
true. And
Mm-hmm.
he is tormented by these rats. He gets bitten by a rat, and then this is where it all sort of kicks off. And he sees rats everywhere. Like every time he digs up a grave, the rats are there. He's in his
Mm-hmm.
house, like sort of stressing about the debt he owes, and he sees a
Yeah, he
tail in
sees
the roof.
yeah in the ceiling.
It's like it was predictable what was going to happen. I'm like, that's a rat's tail. You're going to get pegged with rats.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, he pulls the rat's tail. It all falls out. This was quite predictable in terms of where they're going.
Yeah.
At least with the other one, I was like, there was a bit more mystery to it. This one was a bit
Yes.
more trying to go horror in terms of you're in all these rats,
Yeah. This was going
which
more for like shock, scary horror rather than suspense horror. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. Like I don't mind them having different ones. It was just when you're building to a big payoff of this big rat king, queen, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite liked where he was going into the morgue, and then he's presented with this big payoff of the wealthy guy. So, the wealthy guy, and he's got the sword, and he's got all these gold like cat
Oh
teeth
yeah, yeah,
where he's
yeah,
in the morgue.
yeah.
And he's like, "Here's my payoff," and then you can see his face in like I guess what was it, a Vask or a water vase thing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was. I like the big cheesy grin where he's like,
Yeah,
"This
yeah.
is it."
Uh
He's like,
huh.
I'll beat the rat. And
And
then
that scene where he's when he's in the actual, you probably got to say the same thing, where he's actually in the like the church or the funeral parlor or whatever.
he's like,
He's
I'm your
looking at the body.
caretaker. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like eyeing over the body, and she walks up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm here to serve you and the family," and he goes straight into professional mode. Um, yeah, really good.
Yeah. And then he's finally digging up the grave, and then you see all these rats like dragging the body. I really
Mm-hmm.
liked when he's to see the rats dragging his body, and like it loses a shoe, and like
Yeah.
his desperation, like you felt for the guy, like you were like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, you need to do something. And
Yeah.
he's crawling through the tunnel. Like old mate
Uh
has
huh.
a bad time in the tunnel. Like pokes
He
his
also said
eye.
earlier that he's claustrophobic.
I didn't pick that one.
Yeah, he said he's claustrophobic earlier. He was in the bar chatting to someone.
Oh, okay.
Um, and he's like, yeah, like he said something about I can't do that because I'm claustrophobic. I forget what the actual conversation was, but yeah, he's terrified of enclosed areas, and he follows this body, and you see him like himself amped up and follow this body down this like Thompson said, a maze of tunnels.
Rat holes.
Um, yeah, that was a cool scene though, and it felt. I think they made you feel trapped like he did. I think a lot of the shots and the way they did it, you felt his, that fear of that claustrophobic fear, the same way that Fall made you really scared of the height. This made me scared of the tunnels and
Yeah.
feel really uncomfortable.
Also similar to Buried. I think Ryan Reynolds gets buried alive. Like, yeah.
Is that Ryan Reynolds or is that
Oh, that's right. It's Ryan Reynolds.
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Does a really good job in that, like of
Yeah.
being buried alive. But
Similar to another one. Doesn't matter.
yeah,
Please go on. Continue.
it was really good once he goes in the tunnels
Mm-hmm.
until they presented the I guess you'd say it's the queen rat. And then the
You
queen
didn't like
rat.
it?
Nah, it sucked. It reminded
Oh.
it reminded me so much of Rufus, the naked mole rat.
Yeah, like a Kim
Like,
Possible spin-off.
yeah, I hated it. I was like,
Really? Oh, I loved it. I thought it was really cool.
nah, I like the little rats. The little rats were cool. And then this just looked like it would didn't look terrifying. It just looked like it'd been tired from giving birth so much and feeding. And it didn't have that sort
Oh,
of
I disagree. I thought
predatory.
it felt really intimidating. I thought the mouth, I could picture that biting an arm off.
Nah,
I love that puppetry and shit. That's what I was excited for.
I was like, nah, you don't look that terrifying. But like
Sure.
it was downfall from there. And when he's running from him, I like how he gets swarmed and he's like
Hmm.
just absolutely panicked and he tries to shoot it, shoots his foot. Like
Yeah,
that,
shoots yourself
that
in the toe.
like that was well edited in terms of they were able to get all the rats in, good special
Yeah,
effects, clear all the rats
yeah,
out, and then just see like his shoe with a hole
yeah.
in it.
And the sound drop, and just this look at the shoe and look back at him, and just
Yeah.
ah.
Very, very cool scene. But
Yeah.
the little rat that like taunts him, and
Hmm.
it's
He
like the
blasts it.
yeah, the hysteria that he's in, like he's blasted, he's cackling, but his foot
Hmm.
hurts and he's just
Hmm.
all over it. Hated when he went into the black church. So as he's going down the more of the tunnels and he gets like the
Yeah.
payoff where he finds all the skeletons, all the
Uh
gold,
huh.
and
All
he
the
like
jewels
he's
and
like
yeah.
payday and he's like stuffing his pockets and
Hmm.
you know that he's in for a bad time
Of
because
course.
it's like always in that point.
Of
But
course.
I would have
It's very
preferred
reminiscent of like almost like like Egyptian pharaoh tomb. It's like
Yeah.
booby trapped and haunted, not haunted, cursed.
Yep.
I like
Very
it.
much so. But I could have done without the reanimation of the body. I feel like it could have just been the rat that chased him because they built up all these
Yeah.
rats, and then he's obviously presented with the Black Church of whatever he called it. I'm not sure if
Uh
they
huh.
made reference to it. Like I was a little bit confused in terms of what the Black Church was. I just
Uh huh.
assumed it was some sort of satanic ritual, churchy kind of.
Yes, and that's something I want to raise in a second. But continue.
But he obviously sees this massive gem. He's like, this is my payoff. And you know that
Mm-hmm.
he's so far down his luck, he needs to do something to be able to get himself out. He takes it,
Mm-hmm.
it reanimates, and you're like, it's going to grab you, it's going to get you. And there's
Right.
this really weird scene in terms of, I'm not sure if it was the editing or the special effects, but when he falls over and the skeleton's on him and he throws it off and it hits the
Yeah.
wall, I went
Yeah.
back and watched that about 3 times because I'm like, was that my phone or was that my computer? Like, what was it in
Yeah, I
terms
did
of?
pick up.
It was like janky. It was like they threw a dummy at the wall, and
Yeah. It
it
almost like it lost the skeleton itself lost frames or something a little bit. Yeah, it did feel a bit not great. I
yeah,
wanted more like the rat was puppetry. I wish that was puppetry. Have a skeleton puppet rather than do that in CG.
yeah. I don't
I
know.
expected more from. I mean, again, I shouldn't. I know that this is Guillermo's his cabinet of curiosities. I know that's presented by him, but I need to also remember that he is just a producer. He's not the director of every episode. He's not the physical makeup, whatever, of every episode. So it's not going to be what I was expecting the whole way through. But yeah, I think Rat was cool. Rat was cool, but I do agree with the the half, and it kept saying mine, mine with the it felt reminiscent of the original Mummy movies,
Oh yeah,
Brendan Fraser,
yeah.
in a way.
I quite like those ones. But you've
Yeah,
also
but they're campy and shit.
yeah, but you've got a
Mm,
sword and you've got a gun. Why
yeah,
didn't he use them? Like a skeleton that's got no legs, like he's crawling. You've got a sword. Have a few
I
whacks. See,
disagree.
see what happens. I
But
if I
he's
was in that
also
situation,
he's a random bloke
and
in like
if I was
the
a random bloke in there,
1910s.
if I had a sword, I would swing. Like it's crawling
You'd
at you.
swing.
You'd have a swing, wouldn't you? Have a swing? Like stop coming at me. Whack. No. Did it
Yeah.
stop it?
I
No.
also think you would freeze in fear.
Well,
Like I don't know. I like when characters don't go into action mode and can save themselves
no, but it's
because
like
it's
fight or flight. Well, you got to do
yeah, but
something.
also it's fight, flight, or freeze, and he froze. That's a lot of people's reactions to adrenaline.
But you got a sword too. Give it a whack.
Yeah, but he's not an action hero. He's a random coward of a man. You see that in his character, the way he interacts with people, the way that he doesn't speak up, the way that he sort of lurks around the backgrounds and robs graves and talks to himself. Like he's a cowardly loner, and it made sense for him when he got pounced on by this big scary rat for him just to freeze and die. I'm not against that. I think that's grounding for a character and more
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah. Whatever. He had he had a sword. The
He
zombie was
did,
like
I know.
moving.
He didn't even wave it.
No.
I know, but I think that was actually a good thing
He
for
also
the character.
he also had a gun. He was happy enough to shoot a little rat, but he wasn't happy enough
Yeah.
to shoot the big rat. Like
Well, the little rat's not going to fight back.
no, but
There's
like
no there's no fear there.
you got a fighting chance. Just pop a little few
No, he
shots in
doesn't.
there.
He was cornered. This giant rat. Like I know it wasn't scary for us because we were expecting bigger and scarier stuff. But if you were in a tunnel system with that rat, I don't know. I don't think you would be swinging that sword around too much. It would just be maybe you. I wouldn't be. I'd be shitting myself and just almost accept death
No,
like he seemed to.
I'd claw him away. Try everything you can, mate. Miss every shot you don't take.
I loved this the sense of dread when he is climbing up. He sees the light and he's climbing up and he keeps repeating the Bible passage to himself. And he reaches the top and it's just like the reflection off of the inside of a coffin. and he's still trapped in the coffin, and you see that deepest fear of his being buried alive. He's inside this coffin. These rats start coming up. They fuck him up. And we get a mirror to the opening where the grave robbers are robbing his grave this time. And all that stuff happens at the end. They run away, blah, blah, blah. The one thing that I do, and this is what I'm really curious about, is we see the medallion that he steals from the corpse that reanimates. And that medallion looks very similar. All tentacles, big thing in the middle, very similar to the demon devil thing we saw in the first episode. I'm wondering if, because this episode was set in like, I think they said 1910, 1912, something like that. It was like early 20th century. And I'm wondering if this is going to be like, even though all the stories are different timelines, different places, different locations, whatever, I'm wondering if the overarching story is going to be the humans dealing with this entity, whatever it is. That'd be kind of cool, because then we can learn bits as the story goes on and sort of piece our own story together.
Yeah, I reckon it probably will. It will have something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
This episode was better. I liked it more. I think the feeling of dread was more apparent. I liked the characters, and yeah, I think it was done just better in general. Less plot holes, and it was probably a 4 for me.
yeah, it definitely had less plot holes. I did enjoy it more. There was 3.5 for me on this one,
Mm-hmm.
so it was pretty good. It was better.
Yeah,
I'm hoping like
good.
it'll keep building in terms of.
Yeah,
I know
cool show. I'm super keen for more.
not all of them will be hits, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's like
looking
Black
at
Mirror.
yeah, I'm just looking at the ratings now on the episode thing. I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, we'll see. All right, that's next week. We got heaps
Next week.
to come next week. We are watching The Barbarian. This one is Lawson has been very keen for it. So we'll be
Heard
excited.
good things.
And Netflix have a ironic sitcom coming out called Blockbuster. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen there, because Blockbuster were offered Netflix but turned it down.
Yeah, I hope they don't just shit all over Blockbuster in it, because Blockbuster did, like, they were a family name for fucking years, an entire generation.
Yeah, they were awesome. And we're going to watch the Vinland Saga, which is one of a very well received anime. People do speak very highly of it. And there is a season 2 coming out, and I know Netflix actually did get the streaming rights for it, where originally it was Amazon Prime had it. And then we might give you a special treat in terms of more Cabinet of Curiosity. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we're also thinking of a new segment. If you want to recommend us anything, we may or may not get you on the podcast. Special guests. So if you want to recommend us something, shoot us up, hit us on Twitch, come on into the chat, say.
Yeah, it'd be fun to have someone else in, and you can introduce us to something. It doesn't need to be something new. It could be something you love, an anime, TV show. We watch it and we'll have a chat with you about it. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, mate. Who knows? Just come on in, do whatever, and and then you can be like, "Hey guys, guess what? I was on Movie Talks," and then you can tell your friends, and
tell your friends,
have a great time, because that's what we want to do. We may bring you more Cabinets of Curiosity. We don't know. We like to keep it spontaneous. You don't know. We don't know. Everyone's happy.
I'll be watching it regardless, whether we talk about it or not. I mean, we've talked about 3 things, and this has been one of our longest fucking episodes. So
yeah, yes, it has.
We do this all the time. So probably not is the point. Anyway, I'm tired of shit. Let's go to bed. Tell your friends. Love you. Bye.